Hi, I'm John Counsell. I'm a senior reporter with Texas Lawyer newspaper, and welcome to the June 6, 2008 edition of Reversed and Remanded. My guest today is Keith Dean. Keith is a former prosecutor, former state district judge in Dallas, and is a current criminal defense lawyer. And Keith, the reason I have you on today is I did a story for this upcoming edition of Texas Lawyer about all of the exonerations that we've had in Dallas County over the last few years. That's 17 of them. And my story, I tracked down the 29 prosecutors who had a hand in sending these men to prison. And the reason I wanted to talk to them is there's been a lot of conversation about the Wade administration. Did they have a conviction at all costs mentality which caused this to happen? And pretty much to a fault, everybody that I talked to said no. And you were a prosecutor under Wade. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little about what you remember and about how you think this could have happened that these people got sent to prison wrongfully.
Well, there wasn't as far as a conviction at all cost mentality, there was clearly, you were graded by percentage of convictions of cases.
Right.
That was a factor on your form that was turned in once a month, or once a week, I don't remember now. But different prosecutors viewed it in different ways. I always looked at it as, well, they only take cases to trial that are, if it's a good case, take it to trial. If it's not a good case, don't go to trial. Some people just had the attitude, not everybody, but there were a few people that had the attitude, well, once you get in trial, you better win.
Yeah.
And I'm not convinced that's where the problem came in. I mean, that is not the right attitude to have.
Right.
And I'm not convinced that's what caused the problem in these cases.
And when I looked at this list of lawyers, it's a very impressive list of people. You've seen it. Some people went on to become judges, very much like yourself. Some of them, one is a federal judge now, and one of them is actually a lieutenant in Craig Watkins' administration. He's kind of leading the charge for all these exoneration cases. And what I guess is sort of disturbing is, as I'm talking to these people and look at the cases, I'm like, if this can happen to them, it can happen to anybody and may still be happening. I guess, but probably because a lot of these cases, there was no scientific evidence at the time, and it could be a one-witness case, and if that person is mistaken, wrong guy goes to prison. I mean, do you think that could still happen, or what do we do to fix it?
Oh, obviously it can still happen.
Yeah.
As far as criticizing the people on that list, I looked at the list. I just got through looking at the list. Almost without exception, everyone on the list was an excellent attorney and a fine person. I mean, just
right.
A decent, honorable person. I think part of the problem at that time especially was it's an adversarial system.
Right.
And when I started in the criminal justice system in 1982, if you said who are the 10 best lawyers in the criminal justice system in Dallas, probably 8 of them would have been in the DA's office.
Right.
And when you have an extremely effective advocate, a very good lawyer, very convincing, sometimes that person can win a very difficult case.
Right.
Now, difficult sometimes means a case that is just difficult to bring the witnesses together to prove. Sometimes difficult case means the evidence isn't all that strong.
Right.
Now, I obviously have not gone through every single one of those cases on that list. I've talked to a couple lawyers whose cases were on that list. Some of those cases were just as strong as they could be.
Right.
One of them in particular, serial rapist, I think 6 or 8 of the victims picked out the same person. They were shown lineups by different officers, so it wasn't officer error. It wasn't. It was just. You hate to think it, but it's a system comprised of humans. You get humans involved in any endeavor, there are going to be problems. There are going to be mistakes. I will say, in the criminal justice system, people complain, oh, it goes so slow, there's so many delays, people just pick things to death. But we take a lot of time to make sure we get it right. If they took that much time when they decided where to put stoplights and stop signs and setting speed limits, we'd have a lot less traffic accidents.
Well, looking at all those cases, the problem with witness identification is now that we know that it can happen to the best of us, what should a lawyer or a prosecutor look as a tip-off that maybe this isn't a case that's good, even though my witness says that it is? Is there anything that you can think of?
I think anytime you pin the entire case on one fact, what you end up doing is you look at all the other facts that don't lead to that one fact you're pinning on and say, well, that doesn't matter. There's a reason why that doesn't add up. And that's where the problem comes in. Instead of looking at it and saying, we've got 15 separate issues, 14 are weak, but we've got one strong, well, maybe there's a problem with that. And you and I were talking before we turned the camera on. I don't do it anymore because now that I'm a lawyer, it's really not my role to talk to prosecutors about philosophy and things like that. But when I was a judge, I talked to prosecutors. Prosecutors get mad when they give someone a great offer because they have a weak case and the person wouldn't take it. Right. And I tell prosecutors, take a look at your file cabinet. How many cases in there do you have where, I'm not talking about guilty, not guilty, because not guilty is different from innocent. I'm talking about somebody that's innocent, somebody that absolutely did not do this or did not do what they're charged with. And, prosecutors always say, 3, 4, they'll pick some number, some percentage.
Right.
And then I would tell them, if you've got someone that you've offered a deal that is too good to be true, and that person just says, I'm sorry, I will not plead guilty, I did not do this, a little light ought to go off that, well, maybe instead of getting mad at this person for being hard-headed, like they didn't do it. Maybe we need to look at this more. There's a regrettable human instinct that my side is good, your side is bad, my side is right, your side is wrong. I'm an Aggie. I never understood why people hated Longhorns. Aggies hated Longhorns. I mean, that's the dumbest thing on earth.
Right, yeah.
For crying out loud. But some prosecutors, not all, some, when they get a case, and some defense attorneys too, when they get a case, they say, all right, here's who did it. That's the end of the discussion. Instead of, here's who is charged with doing it, this should be the beginning of the discussion. Are we sure this is the right one?
Stop treating it as a game.
Well, it's not even a game mentality. It's just, there are people that, well, if I'm from the South, you're from the North, you're no good. I'm from the United States, you're from another country, you're no good.
Yeah.
Quit that.
Yeah. Keith, it's now time to put you on what I like to call the witness stand. I'm going to ask you some wacky questions.
Oh, great.
Good to say. All right. Keith, if you had to choose, would you rather pay $15 a gallon for gas or ride a tricycle everywhere you had to go?
This is one of my pet peeves right now. I'd rather pay $15 for a gallon of gas, but no one is sacrificing because of the price of gas. I'm going to encourage you on the ride home tonight.
Right.
You drive the speed limit. See how many people are driving the speed limit.
Yeah.
And if they would just drive the speed limit, their effective cost of gas goes down $1 a gallon.
I'd pay $15 an hour to watch you ride a tricycle.
I'm not sure you'd pay $15 an hour to watch me ride a tricycle on a block of ice. I know you well enough.
All right. Have you ever told a judge, hey, pal, I used to have your job, and you're doing it completely wrong?
No.
Keith, do you think you could get a capital murder charge pled down to, well, I don't know, indecent exposure?
Right case.
I need to ask for your card. All right, Keith. Is it too late for you to embrace hope and change, love Obama, and become a Democrat?
Well, I've always said I was bipartisan curious.
Thanks, Keith.
All right.
Thanks.